Welcome to our regional event for Tea Country for Agri-Tourism. My name's Caroline Miller and I'm here on our family farm just outside Dundee in South Angus, and I know there's a lot of agri-tourism business owners here today, and there's other people, there's farmers thinking about agri-tourism, there's various industry professionals who help our sector as well, and it's great to see all of you. So we're here till 3:30. It's quite a short time. Oh, delighted to see Sasha's arrived. Well done. Always a relief, Sasha. So we're here till 3:30. We've got three of our destination leaders who are going to speak to you today. They're also, as well as our Scottish Agritourism leaders, they're very inspiring agri-tourism businesses, and I'm sure you'll enjoy listening to what they have to say about their agri-tourism journey. Before we start, I'm just going to introduce Lorna Reid from VisitScotland, and Lorna's going to say a few words in a little while. Do you want to say hello, Lorna?
Yep. Hello, I recognise a few faces there from Welcome to Our Farm. I'm probably just up the road from Colin and Linda, so let's hope my internet connection plays ball here. Over to you, Caroline.
So Lorna's our main contact within Visit Scotland. There's a number of people in Visit Scotland that are supporting the agri-tourism sector, but Lorna has been working with us for about 9 months now, and it's great to have her. And she's also based in Perthshire. She understands agri-tourism. She's also a farmer as well, and so that's great to have somebody with that knowledge and expertise that is helping us from within Visit Scotland. So I'm just going to introduce Sasha Grierson. So Sasha, if you're happy to share your, I'll just let you make you admin to share your screen. So you should be able to share your screen now, Sasha.
Okay. And let me just pull up. And slideshow. Right. Okay. Right. So share screen. Here we go. Sorry about this. Here we are.
That's great.
Overshare. Okay, can everyone see that? Okay, I probably want to go to full screen. Anyway, if you can see it like that, I think that's fine, if everyone can see that. Caroline, many thanks for asking me to speak this afternoon. I'm Destination Leader for Perth and Kinross. And who am I? My name is Sasha Grierson. I'm one half of Hugh and Sasha Grierson, and we run our organic farm and butchery business together here in rural Perthshire. We call ourselves Organic Farm Butchers. We farm about 1,150 acres across 5 sites in the Strathearn Valley and in Perthshire, not far from where some of you all live. It's nice to see some locals here today. We've been organic since 2000, and this is very important for us. It's integral to what we do, and it provides us with the framework that underpins everything that happens here on our farms and our land, from growing food to how we butcher and pack things, to the wetlands that we create, to the agroforestry ambitions that we have for the future. And actually also with engaging with people via agritourism. That's very much part of that vision now. We breed and rear pedigree Aberdeen Angus beef, homebred lamb, where that's currently this year's R&D project over the next couple of years to try and improve on the farming side for our sheep. We have rare breed pigs. They're rare for a reason. We won't go into that. Slow growing free range organic chicken and free range organic eggs. So we sell what we grow, and we've been price makers, and I think that's probably quite an important term within farming, and if I'm talking to a kind of farming and rural business audience, since 2000. It's been a long and winding journey, but it certainly has shaped our vision and shaped everything that we do. So now, okay, next slide. So hang on. Now, can someone help me to get this in full screen?
Sasha, if you just go down to the bottom there.
I see it. Yeah, I see it.
Just to the right. Oh yeah, that one.
Great, thanks so much. That's great, thanks Caroline. So what do we do agritourism wise? Well, we connect visitors with our organic farm via the food that we grow and that we serve them to eat in the visitor experiences that we have. So that seems like a kind of completely obvious thing to do, but it's not really that common, I don't think. And it's kind of where we started, because we started at diversifying at the food end and developed our butchery business. The agritourism bit grew out of selling food directly to people, not by bringing people onto the farm through self-catering and then selling them food. So it's a kind of natural segue for us. In about 2016, I got together with a tour operator, and we kind of her and I in conversation, we kind of came up with this thing. It's, again, quite obvious, but we developed an idea, the Aberdeen Angus steak tasting experience, and it's all based around our Aberdeen Angus pedigree herd. And when you're organic, growing grass and clover is absolutely critical to your farming system. And so you have to make that grass and clover productive. Therefore, you have to have cattle and sheep in order to turn grass into food. And that's just a fact of life in Scotland. And so it's centered very much around the kitchen table. We take people out to see some cows, some really super cows there. They're very photogenic, and they're always quite impressive. And then we take them into the butchery and we show them something on the hook. And that sometimes for people can be a bit challenging, but frankly, they haven't booked the steak tasting experience if they're challenged if got challenges around eating meat. And usually we introduce them to the butcher if he's working that day. And this is a good example of how to use charismatic staff to their best potential. And Murray's great. He gives them a nice bit of chat. There's something going on the butcher's block, which is a traditional giant piece of wood. And again, people are always impressed by that. And then we take them in around the kitchen table, and I cook, or someone else cooks and feeds them some steak. And so this is very much a private tour for a small group of people. And it basically engages them around the whole food and farming process. And it's a 2-hour tour, which is probably enough. And then we also engage our customers around farm tours as well. And that's very much a larger group. We get student groups. We do get private visits for farm tours. Hugh does the soil and technical chat. That's Hugh there on the top right-hand side. And he's pulled up something interesting from the ground. I think that's a nice bit of red clover. And he's describing to our guests there how clover fixes nitrogen from the air, releases it into the soil for other plants to use. Hugh's very good at this. It's not his natural thing to be, hosting groups of people, but he does this technical side really well. Not everyone who wants an agritourism experience is going to want to get involved in and learn at that level of detail. But usually people want to know something. And if they go away from the farm having learnt something that they didn't know about soil biology, then that's quite an enriching experience for them. And so here that just shows you, we get right down into the soil on the bottom right, and we dig a sod and we talk about grass species and all that sort of stuff. The other thing that people are fascinated by is sheep. There just seems to be an endless demand for people wanting to see roundups of sheep. So in the bottom left-hand corner, there's Dave the stockman with his collies. We usually send him out on the quad bike. People stand at the gate and he rounds up some, 10 sheep into a pen. And then we go and talk about sheep. And that can really soak up a huge amount of time. And most people seem really interested in that. So that's the kind of things that work really well. People want to engage with other people talking about their business, and they also want to engage. They want that experience to be authentic. That's the thing that's really come out of our experience of doing farm tours and visits for 3 years. And sadly, we had to cancel them all last year. And I don't think there'll be much happening this year either. But we'll see how things go. So Hugh does the kind of farming technical side, and for me, I like to do talking about the connections between soil, farming methods, and how we grow food, what food we grow, what tastes good, how to cook it, how to eat it, that kind of thing. So how did we get started? Well, I talk about this a lot if I ever get the opportunity to do so, and largely because RET is just a great organisation, the Royal Highland Educational Trust. And for those of you that don't know, we are farming volunteers for RET, and RET brings parties of school children onto farms for farm visits. There's a module in the school curriculum for P4 children, which some schools choose, called Food and Farming, or I think it's just called Farming, I'm not sure. And so that tends to be the target audience. And the reason the reason I say RET was really an inspiration for us is because we learnt our trade. We learnt how to deliver a tour. If you can keep 30 9-year-olds happy for an hour and a half, an adult is easy. So and also they're where we get ideas, and they ask you really tough questions, 9-year-olds, and they ask you the kind of questions that you just can't shy away from, because you can't lie to a child. So you have to tell the truth. And so that was one thing. They also gave us the confidence around the whole kind of infrastructure bit, risk assessments, how we manage a group of people on what is in effect a factory floor on the farm, how we keep people safe from cattle, etc., etc. And here you can see Hugh has inadvertently led this party of school kids on a worm hunt, and just the day was amazing. And Hugh came back from it completely refreshed and reinvigorated as well after a couple of hours with some children who thought that digging for worms in his patch of ploughed field was just a really exciting thing to do on a fairly grey afternoon. The other thing that happened is we hosted the launch of Slow Food Scotland in 2014. I crammed 50 people into our kitchen, and we heard from some really inspirational artisan food producers and speakers across the world, of chefs, growers, and people who've really who are doing some incredible work in their businesses and in their working lives, educating people around food and also just being food activists, really. And so those were our barns before they were converted, and we sat everybody down and at long tables on straw bales, and it was just an amazing day. So that set my brain going. So the other thing is that we had a lot of random inquiries. We've been customer facing since 2000, and so we had a brand, and we had a website and social media, and we got lots of people saying, do you do visits? Do you do tours? Can I come to visit the farm? And so instead of saying no, I just said yes instead. And so off we went. And that was before we had the infrastructure of having any toilet facilities. And we sort of, we winged it a bit. But that got us going and got us booked in. On the point about RET, we've only ever had one problem with a school visit, and that was when we lost a parent helper. The parent helper lay down in the silage field amongst the grass to look at the sky, and we went to count everybody in at the end of the visit, and he was still out there. So beware of the adults, not the children. So what do we want our future to be? Well, I've just put in a couple of bits there, really about the things that guide us in our work, in our farming business. Yes, we want to make a profit. Of course we do. We have to make a profit, and we have to make a reasonable enough profit to be able to reinvest in our business and to try to grow it and future-proof it and make it resilient. But there are things that guide us along the way, and those two statements there really are guiding statements for us. We want to still be here farming in the next generation, whoever may come behind us, and pasture farming in a way that nurtures our natural capital and also preserves our soils. And our landscape is part of that natural capital. And I think that's something in the agritourism world. You can be farming and farming and farming and farming, and then you turn around one day and you go, wow, that's a great view. And there's a lot to, there's something you can do with that in a business capacity. The other thing is, on the point about eating the future you want, tourists eat 3 times a day. So we've got 3 opportunities to engage with visitors to our country, to our locality. And as farmers and growers, we've got 3 opportunities a day to feed them and to welcome them to our farm. So, so on that note, we're fairly new to the self-catering thing because we've been growing the food and selling the food. And last summer, we just picked up on the opportunity to rent out our farmhouse. These are our farm buildings down here on the right-hand side, which are now been converted into a couple of studio apartments and 2 quite small but quite compact event spaces with toilets and services, which we have used for events. And so Hugh and I decided to move into one of the flats, and we rented out our farmhouse there with its nice garden and its nice kitchen. And that's been very popular. And we have lots of bookings for this summer. And I think this will be the direction of travel for us, and is to try to optimize the value around the beautiful farmhouse with the beautiful views and connecting it to our food produce in some way, shape or form. So what about Scottish Agritourism? Why join it? What's it done for us? What are the benefits? There's this sort of incredible WhatsApp group, which I know Caroline is kind of working on trying to streamline it a wee bit. You ask a question, you get an answer. And it's a very supportive group, and that's quite unusual for farming. Farmers aren't notorious for getting together and sharing information and helping each other just in that very informal way. So this feels like a really good thing. If someone doesn't know something, they often signpost you to somewhere else to go for help. And last summer, it was just invaluable in helping to navigate the kind of minefield of information during COVID. And I have to say, it was a classic example of where collective brains with good leadership really cut through the noise of what support was out there for businesses. So thank you, Caroline, really and truly. Got signposted to the Association of Scottish Self-Caterers, great help with protocols, risk assessments, discounted membership, in order just to get started. It can be a little daunting sometimes starting up a new mini enterprise in a business. The Scottish Agritourism is leadership with clear vision. Sometimes when people come together, people have different agendas. Everyone seems to want to just get on with the job, develop their business along sort of a range of different lines of experiences for the customer. But everyone's looking in one direction. And if you want to monetize it, I would say I've had 10 times the 10 times the advice for the membership fee, at least. And then there's the other thing about peer-to-peer learning is a very powerful thing, and I feel it's been very evident with the Scottish Agritourism group. So do join us. We're going places.
Thank you very much, Sasha. We'll come to questions once we've heard the 3 case study speakers, but thank you very much. And definitely, I think agritourism is most certainly going in the direction of a really strong agri within the agri-tourism, and it's all about food. Food and farming is what differentiates us from other rural tourism options. So you definitely are a leader in this area. So thank you very much for sharing that with us today. Are you okay to stop sharing your screen? Okay, thanks very much, Sasha. Okay, now I'd like to introduce another of our destination leaders. Nikki Storer is from Ardross Farm Shop, probably well known to many of you as well. And Nikki is our Fife destination leader, and Nikki will talk about her business at Ardross. Over to you, Nikki.
Thank you very much. I've been practicing how to do this, so, oh, you've disabled my share.
Oh, I was just making you co-host. Sorry, it was going so well for you.
You know what, I'd hoped I'd gone first because I knew Sasha would totally nail that, so thanks, Sasha, that was brilliant.
Are you okay now, Nikki? Are you a co-host now?
Yep. Okay.
God, I can't wait till we're actually in a room together, everybody, but this is a good option. So over to you, Nikki.
I can't decide if it's more scary being on Zoom or actually in person, so we'll go with Zoom for just now. Okay, so hello everybody. I think I know quite a few people, but for those of you who don't know me, I am Nikki Storer, and with my family we have Ardross Farm Shop. We are located just outside Ely on the East Neuk of Fife. Picture there is the family. We were lucky enough to have Gordon Ramsay visit us a couple of years ago. So I'm just on the left-hand side. My sister in the middle, Claire, she is actually farming the farm. I should say I manage the farm shop as my role in the business. My other sister that's there, she actually has a proper job, we call it, but she gets the privilege of working every other waking hour in our business, mostly for free. And then there's my parents who started the farm shop. So about us, we are a family-run farm. We are a very traditional mixed farm. We farm over 4 farms on 2 estates, 1,300 acres. We have cows, sheep, we have cereals, oilseed rape, fodder crops, and we do various environmental schemes, and we also grow veg. And we decided in 2005 to open a farm shop. At the time, we didn't realise that's what we were opening, but it kind of just has grown arms and legs. We decided that we wanted to sell our own beef direct to consumers, and we completely underestimated what we were doing and the demand from our customers for what we were doing. So since then, we have gradually expanded. So why We Diversified? This is when we first started. I'm looking quite a bit younger in these pictures. So we're tenants over 2 different estates, and we just couldn't make ends meet. Farming was more of a way of life. There wasn't much left over at the end. So we sat down and had a meeting with mum and dad, 3 girls, a mum and dad, and we decided ultimately that we all wanted to stay in farming and we wanted to continue to farm. So we needed to do something to ensure that we could stay farming. Mum and dad had all sorts of ideas. We were going to sell big stone troughs. We were going to sell to garden centres. Our airing cupboard was full of straw that we were trying to compact into bales to put onto fires. All sorts of things, you name it, we tried it to diversify. But ultimately, it came back to the fact that we wanted to still be farmers. We didn't want to be garden centres. We didn't want to be making something that people put on fires. And we thought that we were pretty good at what we did. We just couldn't make money from it. So we kind of gave up on the idea. And then a few weeks later, Dad came back and said, right, that's it. I've taken a cattle beast to St Andrew's Abattoir. It's hanging for 3 weeks, and then you better work out how we're going to sell it. So we had a bit of a panic, and the picture in the middle here, that actually used to be the workshop on the farm. So Mum decided that was going to be some form of shop. We kicked the men on the farm out, which they were highly delighted at, and actually still don't even have a workshop. We haven't kind of replaced it yet, so it's a bit of a sore point on the farm. And the whole family came, and we came home from university. We painted the walls, we painted the floor. It was just a concrete floor, and we bought 2 freezers. I remember Mum and Dad having an argument because Dad wanted a closed top freezer because it was more efficient and it wouldn't cost so much money, and Mum told him not to be so bloody stupid, that customers wouldn't be able to see in the freezer, so we needed the glass top freezer. So we bought one of each, and funnily enough, the glass top freezer was the way forward. So that was one of our biggest first decisions. And the first day that we opened, well, before that, we actually got leaflets drawn up. The logo that's here, we went to a local printers, and Mum came up with that with them, and we distributed leaflets throughout all the local villages. And the first day that we opened, we took £25. And I remember Mum coming in and doing a little whoop, and that was us, you know, we'd made it, we'd diversified, and that was us starting off our farm shop. So our farm shop, basically, we've decided that we want to produce as much as we possibly can on the farm and sell it direct to the end consumer. Everything that we think about on the farm, we now don't want to be at the bottom of the chain. We've grown vegetables for the supermarkets before. We know how that works. We know that you don't get a price for barley until after you've sold it. So everything that we do now, we try to do with the mindset that we're going to sell it direct to our customers. So all of the cattle on our farm are now sold directly through the shop. We also have lamb, all of that's sold through the shop. We sell mutton through the shop as well. We stopped growing for ESG, and we started growing small scale vegetables, but a wider variety of vegetables. We brought bees onto the farm, so we now sell our honey direct. We even bag up our Alsea drape and sell it as bird food. Who knew that people love that for bird food? So as much as we possibly can, we sell direct. And when we first started, we wanted to help other farmers that were in the same position. So we went out, and bearing in mind that was in 2005, there wasn't a huge amount of people diversifying, but we found the Maxwells at Doddington had started making ice cream with their milk. So we approached them, and they told us that in order for them to deliver to us, it was going to be £800, which we were absolutely petrified at having £800 of ice cream to sell, but we started selling that. There was a dairy farmer's wife who started making sticky toffee puddings, so we started selling them, and it kind of gradually grew from there. We then, in 2014, I think it was, we were nominated for a couple of quite big awards in the Farm Shop and Deli Awards, which was quite laughable for us at the time because we were just a tiny shop, just playing around with what we were doing. And Mum and I went down to Birmingham, and were absolutely gobsmacked that we ended up winning best farm shop in Britain. And then we went on and we took best retailer in the UK, which still to this day, we can't believe that we won, but we did. And that opened up a lot of avenues for us. The Farm Shop and Deli Awards were very, very good with their PR and their connections. And all of a sudden people started calling us, asking to be stocked in our shop. A lot more people came through the doors because they knew a bit more about us. So then we decided that we probably needed to broaden our horizons a little bit. And we decided we wanted to provide people with everything that they want for a local meal. We were very good at keeping track of what people were asking for and what we didn't have in the shop, and it seemed that people were really interested in what we were doing, but they wanted a one-stop. They wanted to come to us and buy everything that they could instead of having to go to the supermarket afterwards. So we then started approaching local businesses, and we were lucky in Fife, in Scotland in general, but especially in Fife at the time, that there's a lot of local businesses starting up. So we added Cairnmore wines, local bread, dips, and we now stock over 4,000 products. So you can come and you can do your everyday shopping with us. You can get a full range of meats, vegetables, jams, chutneys, puddings, cream, milk, crisps, everything you need. You don't need to go to the supermarket if you don't want. And that appeals to, we've been very careful that we try and market ourselves so that locals come and shop with us, but also very much so people who are on holiday, they really want a foodie experience. And we completely underestimated people's thirst for knowledge about farming and about food. And people genuinely want to come and do the right thing and know what they're eating. So that's really, really pushed us forward with what we were doing. So because we started the shop, we just thought we were going to sell our beef and that was it. And once we sold our beef, everything would be fine. But actually, we have completely changed everything that we do on the farm in order to respond to that. Selling your beef sounds like a really great idea, but then you forget that actually in the summertime, nobody wants to buy a roast. And in the wintertime, nobody wants a burger. So we started gathering all sorts of random cuts that were in the freezer until we came through one day and there were 7 freezers full of braising steak. I thought this is getting completely unmanageable. So we built a commercial kitchen, and that's basically been built to respond and to add value to everything we produce on the farm. So on the left-hand side there, that's beef stock. So all the bones from our animals, we roast and we make, well, the trendy word is bone broth from. So we do beef broth. We also do beef dripping from the fat. So we render that down and we use the fat. We make steak pies, and we make different kinds of burgers. We make chili con carnes, meatballs, all sorts of different things, because it is very hard to sell a whole carcass, and we want to make sure that we sell nose to tail and there's nothing left over. We also changed the breed of cattle and sheep on the farm, and people were asking us all sorts of questions, and it made us question everything that we do, why we do it, and would customers be happy seeing us doing it. As farmers, I think that we are excellent custodians of the landscapes and of our animals, but if you stand every single day and you question, would you be happy for a journalist to stand beside you and see you doing this? Just because it's the right thing to do doesn't necessarily make sure it's the right thing, mean it's the right thing for somebody to see. So we changed quite a lot. The breed of cattle, we changed to smaller cattle that we could outwinter all year. The sheep, my sister decided instead of buying in lamb and mutton that we would start selling our own lamb and mutton, so we had complete control. So we've got easy care sheep. Both of them are small animals, they're light on their feet, and that meant that we could become Pasture for Life accredited, which means our animals are 100% grass fed. And that was in response to what customers were asking. What are these animals eating? Why are they eating that? Are they getting fed antibiotics? Do you give them C-sections? Why do you give them C-sections? All these questions we were being asked all the time, and we wanted to ensure that we could make sure that we were happy answering them. Just because of the cattle and the sheep and everything else that we were doing, we've kind of moved to what we now realise is regenerative farming, and quite a lot about what Sasha was talking about resonates with us as well. We were also trying to make a margin still at farming. So about 10 years ago, Dad bought a Claydon drill and we started direct drilling. And people were really interested in that. In fact, anything that we put on our social media that's to do with the environment, that's to do with carbon emissions, RSPB, they're the ones that get the highest interactions and the highest hits for us. People are really interested in that. We also started working a lot with RSPB, and again, they were really keen to work with us because we were public facing and we had a premises that customers could come in and speak to us about the work that they were doing. Also, we've moved from having on the right hand side our Jim and Scott. We had 3 generations of the one family working for us. Mark's not in that picture. And we've moved from that to employing over 17 local people, and that swells in the summertime with students as well. We thought in farming people tend to stay in their job for a long time. Jim's been working for us since he was 16. Scott has been working for us since he could walk, basically. And that was a big learning curve for us because people don't, out of farming, stay in jobs for 10, 20, 40 years. So that was a big learning curve. And we've now got an HR department. We really enjoy working with people, but it's definitely been different to farming. And Potentially controversially, we've worked harder than we have ever done before our diversification. Farming's really hard and you work really hard, but we have our shop 10 metres away from our back door and it's open 7 days a week. We close 3 days a year and it's all consuming. We love what we do. We really get a buzz from the customers asking questions. The farm staff love the fact that people come back and say that beef or lamb or mutton or veg was the best they've ever tasted. But it's all consuming in the fact you can't get away from it. We've got people climbing on fences looking in our back door. We've got people looking at our windows, seeing a farmhouse kitchen. So there's positives and I'm not sure they're negatives. It's just that you definitely have to be ready to share your life with the public if you're wanting to encourage people onto your farm. So our business now, we have a farm shop that has over 4,000 products. Without the farm shop, the farm would not be viable anymore, but also without the farm shop, the farm shop wouldn't be viable either. They're completely integrated now. They supply and promote each other very well. We started doing events on site, so we do food events, the Taste of Summer, Taste of Christmas, and we invite lots of food producers on site. We open late on a Thursday and we invite takeaway people every Thursday. Well, this year's been slightly different. Normally into our courtyard. We have a beautiful hayloft above the shop that's normally empty, so we give that free of charge to the local community and they host all sorts of events, and the caveat is that people have to walk through our shop to get to their event. So we have art galleries there, we have craft events, we have all sorts of different amazing events that happen up there, and we get customers that would potentially not be normally ours coming to them. We also go out and about to all the local food festivals, trying to raise awareness of what we're doing and our area. And one thing that we've done for quite some time, but it's definitely not as formalised as Sasha's or as any of the things we've been learning about from Caroline, is tours. We have, for maybe about the past 6 years, had a coach load of farmers that come every year through a tour guide, and we give them a tour. And everything that we do, we always try and link back to the food that we produce on the farm. So we give people tours and then they go up to the hayloft and we have a big buffet of food all produced on the farm that they can enjoy. Anybody that wants to have a tour around the farm, we love speaking about what we do. We love telling people about the amazing work that farmers are doing and where all their food comes from. So we always ask them and let them have a tour. And we've never charged for the local tours, but that is something in the future. With Caroline's help, she's been giving us lots of ideas and tips and showing the value of our tours as well. So through Go Rural, we would like to do that better this year and, well, potentially next year now. But again, everything that we do is about adding value to what we produce on the farm. We are still farmers at heart. My husband, who's not actually part of the business, but he's always looked at diversifying. And what infuriates him is that he wants to be a farmer. He loves farming, and a lot of diversifications take you away from doing that. But when you're selling food, to the food you produce on the farm to customers, you're just adding value to what you do. And it's a really amazing thing getting feedback from you from beginning to end, from that calf being born right through to the end to them cooking the steak. You have been in control of that, and it's I think of great value for your mental health, hearing how amazing the things are that you've been producing. So that's our business now. Agri-tourism, why should you be part of it? Well, I have been part of Go Rural for many, many years. One of my favourite things we did was go on holiday. Oh, sorry, Caroline, it wasn't a holiday. We were on a learning journey to Italy. So the lady on the left.
I believe you said the word holiday, Nikki.
Not much fun at all. But Go Rural has 2 or 3 groups, I think, over various years out to Italy to learn. Italy is renowned for food, and we went round some really amazing agri-tourism businesses. Now, businesses that weren't huge businesses either, they were small farms very passionate about farming and about what they do, and they sold it really, really well. And that really inspired me to come home and to do better. And also to be more proud of what we do. Scotland's an amazing country, and people are genuinely interested in what we do. I say this all the time, but they really are. I could stand and talk to every customer that comes through the door, and they genuinely want to know about farming and about food and about what we've done this morning. What time did you get up? Like, have you been in, in your wellies in the mud? People are really interested in that. And I think up until fairly recently, people have been really disconnected. So agritourism is a really great way of bringing you back. It's a wonderful support network as well. As Sasha said, the WhatsApp group's been invaluable. My phone pings constantly throughout the day, and it's the one group that I actually look at. I've got a lot of groups that ping throughout the day, and I think I'll catch up later, but the information that people are talking about is relevant, and everyone's really friendly, and you post what you think is a completely stupid question, and you get a lot of answers, a lot of cheek, and some pictures back, and it's really, really good. I also really like the direct link to government. This last year we've been swimming around not really knowing. There's so many rules, there's so much legislation, and Go Rural really cut through all of that and took our concerns direct to Fergus Ewing, and I felt like we were being really heard as well, where a lot of sectors I don't think have been heard. The consumer facing website I also think is really good. That's being developed this year, and it'll be really good for people to go to one website to promote us all. We've all got our own websites, which are all excellent, but if people are interested in farms, this is going to be the website that they go to, and we can all help promote each other. Lorna, you have been amazing as well, I have to say. Having Visit Scotland on board was so exciting, and the amount of bloggers and PR, the ideas that you have given us, pictures of cows. We were involved in Lambing Live as well, and we had a lot of people visiting all our social media sites that we wouldn't have had ordinarily through Lambing Live. It was absolutely terrifying, and I managed to get my sister to do it rather than me. But it was really empowering at the end of it, because people were really excited and asking great questions. And also that gave us a link to a larger audience through all the social media sites. So for me, it's working with friends, it's sharing ideas, it's being positive, and there's so much enthusiasm in this sector, and there's so many really exciting things happening, and it's great to share all of that. And we've been around for 15 years, which isn't really that long in terms of some of the other businesses, but it's great to see real movement now with a lot of people doing things. And you can see that through the WhatsApp group and all the other meetings. The only other thing I had, Caroline, but I'm not sure if I've gone over time, was I've got a 2-minute video of the farm shop.
Yeah, that's fine, Nikki.
And other than that, that's me finished, so I can just play that.
I started the shop in May 2005. It was an old cart shed that we had. We washed it, we painted it, we cleaned it. The first day I had 2 customers and I brought in £23.
Our first criteria for stocking products is it has to be quality. We have to think this product's fantastic. Secondly, we try to be as local as possible. Fife is just amazing, and it's really at the fore of local food at the moment. The farm and the shop are very much integral to each other. Without the farm, the shop wouldn't work, and vice versa. Without the shop, the farm wouldn't work. And the 2 huge parts of that are our beef and our vegetables. This is something that Dad is just amazing at. It's not that he'll ever say, he's very modest, but he's way ahead of his time.
The quality of the beef is all about the handling and feeding of the cattle throughout their lifetime. We've got very experienced men who treat the cattle with great respect. They're fed on a forage-based diet. We know where all the food's coming from, so we know exactly what they're getting. We're buying in nothing for them, and a lot of the cattle stay outside all year round. When a customer buys Ardross beef, we always feel they could buy a cut below the cut they normally buy and still experience the quality of the superior cut. Customers really appreciate the freshness of the veg. We often walk in having freshly cut vegetables. They see it as we come in the door and they immediately buy it. It can't be fresher than that.
I think when the customers come to Ardross, they come here because they're looking for a calm environment, they're looking for good service, they're looking for staff that are knowledgeable. I suppose old-fashioned service is what it was. The way it used to be is what we try to do.
We're privileged to be able to do what we do, strive to produce good food economically in a sustainable manner, looking after the environment, to looking after the customer. That's what we really enjoy doing.
That's us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nikki. That's always really inspiring to hear the Ardross story, from going to a point of, or coming from a point where you weren't sure about the future of the farm to being one of the most successful agri-tourism businesses in Scotland. So well done for everything you've achieved. And I know you play a real pivotal role in agri-tourism in Fife as well. So thanks very much. It's great to hear from you. Okay, the next speaker we have, Claire Fleming, unfortunately is not able to be with us today, but I'm just going to play Claire's video now. And I just encourage you to start to put your questions into the chat box, and then we'll have some questions for Nikki and Sasha after I've played Claire's video. And then I'll finish up with a quick overview of what we're doing as Scottish Agritourism as a whole. So you just have to bear with me 2 seconds while I bring this up. Hold on, sorry, technical problem. I have to share my screen. Okay, sorry folks, I just got a message saying you can see that, but you can't hear it. So I think what I'll do is I will share Claire's video with you. After, I'll just send it out as an email link, just because I can't get the sound to work, I'm afraid. So I'm sorry about that. But I'll share it with you.
Your sound.
Sorry?
You can share your sound. You need to make sure your sound is on full, and then you need to share your sound up on the top. Somewhere.
Thanks, Kate. Sorry, I still can't see that.
It's sometimes along the top bar, along the at the end. I can't do it because I don't have a shared screen on my thing. Or sometimes down the mute, if you right click on your mute button, sometimes there's a share sound. Sorry, Karen, you're mute now.
Not doing too well here. Apologies. What I'll do is I'm going to go through my presentation, and then I hopefully will manage to fix that while we take some questions, if that's okay. Okay, hopefully you can see that okay. Okay, so Scottish Agritourism. So Agritourism is really on trend. Although our businesses are mostly closed at the moment, it's mainly farm shops that are still managing to be open, but pretty much everything else is closed just now. And by the time we get to the point of opening again, many of us will have been closed for about 8 months this year. However, last year when we were able to reopen, and moving forward into this year where we know that there's a strong domestic market and people are really craving the things that we as farmers can offer. For example, green space for mental well-being and physical well-being, great fresh food, real authentic experience, just being able to go somewhere in small groups or family groups and have that space and freedom. So that's definitely something that we can deliver. And so we're now being identified as agritourism as a key trend by Visit Scotland for 2021 and 2022. And so what we're really trying to do is to make sure that this isn't just a kind of short-term flash in the pan, that this is a real shift in Scottish agritourism to really grow the sector. So this was an article that was in the Sunday Herald in January, and also BBC News were carrying articles on agritourism. So there's an increasing amount of consumer-facing PR for the sector, which is great news for farmers, because farmers do need to engage and develop relationships with consumers a lot more closely, and agritourism is a key way that we can deliver that. Also, in terms of farming, people historically have been in agritourism for 50 years plus. We have many businesses that have been in agritourism that length of time. But I think farming is a challenge to make a profit from agriculture. Nikki talked about that earlier, and agritourism is a way that you can be farming, and we actually need to be farming for agritourism, otherwise it is just actually rural tourism. But with by adding value to your assets, you can actually get a lot more return on what you're doing. So one example would be Scotch lamb. So if you sold a fat lamb for £100, if you'd actually, that lamb had taken part in farm tours, and perhaps people had paid you to watch the sheep being round up by a sheepdog, you'd maybe had some beautiful Scotch lamb tasting on the farm and things, and then maybe you sold it direct. By the time you actually added that amount of value to a lamb, it might not be £300 per lamb, but it might be double. And I think that's a real kind of message going forward about we need to add value to what we're doing on the farm to make more income. So last year in the COVID lockdown, as I said, 50 years plus of agritourism, a really strong network over a long number of years. and we really came together as a sector, and we formed a professional lobby and business support body called Scottish Agritourism. And we sit within the umbrella of the Scottish Tourism Alliance, which is the main tourism voice for Scotland. And it's great to be part of the STA and have that direct channel into industry and to government. Go Rural was established back in 2014. It was actually established in 2012 as part of the Rural Leadership Programme, but it's very much focused now on being a consumer-facing brand, and consumers really enjoy the sort of funky cow and the sort of message to go rural in Scotland. Last year, our sector defined agritourism, so there was no definition for agritourism, and there isn't a global definition for agritourism at all. And many of us are part of a strong international network, and it just doesn't exist, and other countries are looking at this just now as well. So agritourism, we defined it as tourism or leisure on a working farm, croft or estate which produces food. And that complete link back to the farm and producing food is essential. If you're not a farmer, you're not producing food, then you're not a real agritourism experience. And there are some people who come and buy a farmhouse, for example, and set up as a farmhouse bed and breakfast with no link to any farm and market themselves as that. And we want to make sure that this brand is associated with real farmers. So in terms of priorities, I'll not go through all of this, but one of our key priorities for the sector is to measure the sector and to be able to measure it over time and demonstrate what the sector is delivering. So that's the number of farmers looking to come into the sector, those already in agritourism, people selling food direct, people offering a leisure and tourism experience, visitor numbers coming onto farms. So there's a whole range of things that we will be coming to ask farmers, crofters and estate owners this May, and that will be a growth tracker which is going to be delivered by Visit Scotland's economists. So that's a real key move forward for the sector, and we'll be able to show the growth in the sector and the economic impact of agritourism. The other thing on the consumer-facing side is, the real drive to use the Go Rural brand to really work with Visit Scotland, destination management organisations and regional food groups and others in many locations throughout Scotland to make sure that we grow agritourism throughout Scotland. So we really want to use the networks and the skills of our destination leaders to make sure that agritourism is a key growth part of every part of Scotland, and in this case Fife, Perthshire and Angus. You've met Sasha and Nikki, and unfortunately Claire's not with us today, but Claire Fleming up at Peel Farm in Angus, and there's another 12 people throughout Scotland who are our destination leaders doing a great job. We're really delighted that the Go Rural Scotland new website is underway. The tender was put out to the various companies 2 weeks ago, and last week we appointed a company called Reid in Glasgow to deliver this very big project. It's a full e-commerce site. It's selling experiences and days out on farms, breaks and holidays, and it will also sell food and drink from farmers. So it's very innovative. It's a huge project, and we'd like to drive £1 million of income onto Scottish farms per annum. We want to do that within 18 months. So we've set ourselves quite a bold, ambitious target there. But businesses will be able to have a full e-commerce portal through this website. It will mainly be agritourism businesses which are being marketed on the website, but we will also have a sort of approval scheme where our agritourism businesses can recommend other quality rural businesses, visitor attractions, or the local butcher or the local hotel, who can also list on the site, but they'll be very much driven by recommendations from a local farmer. I'll not go through all of these things, but these are the sort of areas that people will be able to search for on the site. They'll be able to break down and look at different regions of Scotland, they'll be able to search for farms that produce Scotch beef, for example, or produce cheese. So it will also market agricultural shows and on-farms and events and festivals, farmers markets, and we will also have information on the site regarding outdoor access and sort of trying to inform and educate people in a nice way about how to stay safe in the countryside and how to respect coming onto a farm for a walk or a day out. We also want to really work with you at a local level to understand what the regional offering is for agri-tourism in your area, and this is some of the things on the left here that came out of the Aberdeenshire event. And I would like you today to think about what the Perthshire, Fife and Angus highlights are or take on agri-tourism is, and really try and develop campaigns and content around what makes our area here different from other areas of Scotland and how we can use that. The site will have a members only area, which is people will be able to join online as well, and we'll have quite an innovative networking room in the back end of the site, where each individual person, because you join not as a business but as an individual, you do join as a business, but four individuals from your business can be members, and they will all have their photograph and their contact details in this industry networking room. And we will also have a different room in the back end of the site where we will have various other people in our network, professional people that help us, and suppliers, etc. So this area of the site is being supported by Visit Scotland's Sector Growth Fund, and phase one of the main brochure part of the site is being supported by Scottish Enterprise through the Monitor Farm programme. I'm now going to pass over to Lorna Reid, who's going to talk about Visit Scotland and Visit Scotland working with the sector. So over to you, Lorna.
Great, thanks, Caroline. I think probably we could sum up by sort of starting to say Visit Scotland's role is ensuring Scotland is discoverable in the channels that visitors are using and consuming, and that visitor might be a UK visitor or it might be an international visitor. So we're there to ensure that Scotland's in people's minds, and within that Scottish Agritourism is in people's mind. And a large part of that is the storytelling, and Caroline's touched upon it as well, and so has Sasha actually, and Nikki. We've talked about things like well-being, being sustainable, connecting to nature. I think the last year has been like a year like no other, and some of the trends that are emerging now really aligns just the perfect timing for agritourism to you know, grab every opportunity that is out there. There's absolutely and utterly demand from consumers and trends. And I guess to sum up what my part is in all this, and I'm absolutely privileged to have been working on this and supporting Caroline and the group. It really is an amazing WhatsApp group. I would call my role, and Caroline will laugh at this, but I see myself actually as a Visit Scotland sheepdog, because it's not just me supporting the agritourism, we're actually working across teams. So we mentioned our insights team. We've got an economist working with Caroline, Scottish Government and other partnership organisations to look at how we can track agritourism, so that will go on and inform things like hopefully, you know, policy. Obviously, as we know, there's big changes with rural payments, etc. Our PR team have been amazing. We've got both what we call a corporate PR team and a consumer PR. So it's really taking the stories and reaching out to the consumer. And I think that is probably something that agriculture and farming hasn't really been traditionally good at. The other team that we've got as well, we've been working sort of looking at strategic support. So that's things like search engine optimization for helping with the website, our social media team. One of our best performing social media posts, believe it or not, is Highland Cows. And quite a few members of the groups have been involved with that project. We've had GoPros and Highland Cows that have gone viral on Lonely Planet in the USA. Lamathan, Caroline, I don't know if you're mentioning Lamathan, but Lamathan last year was a huge success. Visit Scotland did support that. We had e-zines going out to our UK and our international market. And that's really important as well, because when the Go Rural team did live lambing and Welcome to Our Farm, it wasn't just a UK audience it was attracting people from all over the world. And Caroline, I don't know how many countries you can name off the top of your head, but there was Dubai, there was Poland, there was Italy, there was India. It was quite amazing. And actually hats off to the groups for doing it live and really out of their comfort zone. I think that's something that has to be said about this group. You've not stood still, you've grabbed the bull by the horns, which is an appropriate phrase. And as a group, you don't often see such cohesive groups trying to work together. So that really is, it makes you very dynamic and fleet of foot. I think that's probably that farming ethos that you just get on with it and you work away to solution. We have also, and we're all here to support, we've mentioned consumers. So a large thing that we can also help with is the role of intermediaries, and that is like travel trade. So it doesn't need to be just huge. Sometimes when you say travel trade, you think of huge coach parties, but it can actually also be independent, smaller groups. So our team are also on the ground working with Caroline to look at that pipeline of businesses that are maybe interested in doing tours, just like Sasha mentioned how she started out with Reid and evolving into something that's got an income stream. We have industry relationship managers. There's one for Perthshire, Fife and Angus, and they would be happy if anybody's looking for a Visit Scotland listing on VisitScotland.com or a travel trade listing. The industry relationship managers would be happy to set up a one-to-one. And again, that's working in conjunction with Caroline to make sure that we've got the right business support on the ground for you. So I'll put my email address in the chat box, and if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I will then do an introduction to the industry relationship manager for your regions. So that's Liz Shorthouse for Perthshire, and I know that many of you on the group will know, and James Sinclair for Fife, and Dennis McFarland for Angus. And I'll mention travel trade very quickly because Louise, I think I see you on the call. Louise has both a Visit Scotland listing from her consumer side, but also for the sort of international and travel trade market, you've got a listing on our dedicated travel trade supplier directory. So that's going through sort of an intermediary for tour. What else can I say, Caroline? Have I missed anything out? There's lots of projects in the pipeline. There's lots of support.
Another slide actually, Lorna, sorry.
So yeah, there we go.
To talk about the campaigns.
I'll let you do that bit. On you go.
You sure? Okay. Yeah. So thanks to Lorna. It's been really invaluable having Lorna being able to be the main contact for Agri-Tourism. It's made such a huge difference to our sector, and there's so much work going on in the background. There's a few things we can't tell people yet that we are really excited about. So I'll not read all of these out, but these are the campaigns that we are working, it should say 2021. So this is the 2021 campaign planner, and we will be in a position, I hope, to launch the brochure-facing part of the new website to coincide with the start of Lamathon, which starts at the end of March, which isn't very long way. So, but all the types of farms that we have in Scotland for people coming to stay or days out or to buy food from, we will make sure that everybody is involved in these campaigns in some way or another. And one thing that we want to do is, because it's been such a difficult time, really want to do a massive agri-tourism focus on November. We'd like people to organise events, even if those events are for your local community, even if it's for 12 people or 8 people around your farmhouse kitchen table, storytelling. Maybe you've got a venue, or you can make a shed fit enough for a rustic barn dance or something, but try and let's get a whole series of events going in November around farming culture. Glamathon, as I've mentioned, so that kicks off on the 24th of March. But if you'd like to take part, it is a real adrenaline rush when you're about to go live on Facebook to 250 families and there's people watching from all over the world. Don't let that put you off. That's a good incentive. But if MD, if you don't have to be a member to take part, you can have a shot of Lamathon or going live on the Facebook page. You can get one complimentary live tour before if you wanted to join up as a member after that, that's fine, but if you don't want to, that's fine too. So it is a good introduction to kind of what we're doing. So please get in touch if you've got sheep and if you're lambing and if you want to take part of Lamathon. Just to give you some figures from 3 months of live tours last year, from March to July, and in that period 10,000 families watched one of our videos live. And then what we're finding was that 3 to 4 times the number of people were watching in the evening or within a 24-hour period. So within 3 months, there was 750,000 minutes of live videos of Scottish farming, which I think you'll agree is not just good for our agri-tourism businesses, many of whom went on to have people visit or stay with them as a result, but also to showcase Scottish agriculture. And one of the key things that came out of Lamathon was people were surprised at how much we cared for our livestock and the high welfare standards we had. Just mentioned the Monitor Farm programme, which is a Scottish Enterprise funded programme, which is for skills development and knowledge exchange. It's been online since last March, but we're hoping that we will get back into a mixture of online but also physical meetings later this year. And it's a fantastic network again of kind of skills development and knowledge to help your business. And that's all I was going to say. So I'm just very conscious of time. We did the Aberdeenshire event and we did the same amount of time, and we got 3 speakers done on my slides and questions in an hour and a half. So maybe, we'd just like to speak more in this part of Scotland, but I hope you enjoyed listening to that. And what I'm going to do is, I'm conscious that some people might want to or have to go off at 3:30. So I'm going to take some questions and then I will play Claire's video again, and you can either stay on and watch Claire's video, or I will be sending it out this evening to you. So I'm just going to look in the chat box and see if there's any questions, or if there's just so there's a question here for Nikki and Sasha about, for those of us just tipping our toe in agri-tourism, what advice would you give on managing family relationships in business? Sasha?
I think the only thing I can suggest is that you try to set up some kind of weekly, fortnightly, monthly board meeting and try and keep talking to each other about concerns, worries, fears about any potential development and try and get visions aligned prior to one person heading off on a big scurry, and then the other two people kind of letting them get so far and then going, oh, hang on a second. This stuff is difficult. Nikki works across the generations and with her sister. So Nikki, you've maybe got more to say.
Nikki, what advice have you got on working with two sisters and your mum?
I would probably agree with everything Sasha said. One thing about families is you would never speak to a member of staff the way you speak to your family, whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But also with agritourism, there's such a huge breadth of things that you can do. I'm perhaps very fortunate in that Claire was an accountant and she is really amazing at numbers. She's very good at managing people, and I like all the kind of, she calls it airy-fairy stuff. I like doing all the marketing. I love people, I love food. So we work really, really well together. Tara also comes in and she's fantastic in all the other areas that we don't do. So one thing that I think diversifying does give you an option for is to all play to your own strengths. And I would say maybe we are just really lucky, but if you play to your own strengths, then you're a fantastic team. Mum does all the cooking, she runs a commercial kitchen, and between us all managing different departments, we're a pretty formidable force. We do work a lot, but have faith in each other, and yeah, one vision, but within that, all play to your strengths within that.
Okay, we'll go right on to the next question. So Nikki, there's a question for you. Did you find additional challenges diversifying being a tenant farmer?
Yes or no. You have to make sure that you know what you're doing and you have all the correct paperwork. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Caroline, the Monitor Farm's got something coming up potentially with tenant farms, but there's a lot been going on about tenant farms and a lot more advice out there. We just made sure that everything that we did, we were very upfront and clear with our landlords. And they had all the paperwork that they needed. It was all submitted in the right time and in the right fashion, and it fingers crossed, touch wood, it's been okay so far. Okay, thank you. It's good to have a real mixture of people on here as well, so thanks Bo for your comment. As a driver guide working with couples and very small groups and private bespoke tours, always looking for something different to offer, so we would really like to work with businesses like yourself, Bo. Certainly it suits a lot of agritourism businesses as well, the smaller groups. Not everybody can take a large coach, so that's great, and lovely to see Kim from the Gin Bothy on here, who was so involved in the Monitor Farm at Peel, and then there's Lorna sharing her contact details. So has anyone got any other questions? Does anyone want to come in with a question just now? Could be for Nikki or for Sasha or for Lorna or for myself. No. Sorry, I can't wait till we're all in a room together. So that's right. I am going to try and play Claire's video. I'm so sorry, I've now been sent some lovely instructions by Kate Maitland, so thank you, Kate, for keeping me right. So if you just bear with me while I have another shot at this.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire from Peel, as Caroline said. I'm pleased to be talking to you all today. So I've just got a few slides for you to explain our business. The farming business is CS Fleming and Son, and we've got 4 partners in the business currently, which is myself, my father Charlie, my brother Hugh, and my grandmother's still a partner. The farm runs over 4 sites, which are all in Angus. There's roughly 12 miles between them. 1,000 acres owned and about 600 are rented on a seasonal basis. We've got predominantly beef cows, 200 head of breeding cows. There's Simmental cross Limousin, and we use Limousin cross British Blue and British Blue bulls. We've also got a few Highland cows, which we keep pure, and we use that in the farm shop, and we also use the burgers in the coffee shop, and we use other cuts as well on the specials menu. We've got I've got one Gloucester Old Spot sow, which is I generally cross with a saddleback and use the bacon and ham in the coffee shop as well. We try and use what we can from our own farm, and sell the rest in the farm shop. We used to have 600 ewes till 2019, and we don't have any sheep now. There's the cropping, which is not my field of expertise. My brother grows 100 acres of barley for malting and 100 acres of oats for milling. Anything that's not suitable to go away is kept for feed. The barley goes away through East of Scotland farmers in Cooper Angus, and the oats go to Quaker in Fife. My dad and my brother work full-time on the farm, and we've got seasonal staff when required. I work full-time in the shops, and we've let Granny retire because she's 90 now. Next slide, please. So this is a view from Peel Farm. Great setting. It's amazing. We take it for granted because we live here, but just when you look at it after coming through the winter, it's amazing. It's just beautiful. So Peel Farm was purchased by my dad and granddad in 1978 for mum and dad to move here when they got married. The diversification started in the early 80s, 1981, when just after I was born, and mum started a coffee shop in our sun porch, which was on the farmhouse. So she had 3 tables. She made all the scones, lambed all the ewes. I don't think I could do that these days, but she wanted to stay at home to look after us, but she was a teacher at the time, so she had to think up another income stream. So that's what she did, and she's very keen on crafting. So she did a lot of craft demonstrations and workshops, and she just that's what she did. So then after a couple of years, it was a successful going business, but and it outgrew the sun porch. So they built on the coffee shop on the farmhouse. That was, we got farm business development scheme funding for that, and then a couple of years later it kept growing. So a conservatory was built on the front of the shop. Originally, Mum used the coffee shop for her crafts as well, so she would sell her own crafts and other local people's crafts, and she would do, as I said, her demonstrations, and rurals would come in and have supper and watch a demonstration from Mum. So next she developed a farm trail with different animals, different small pens along a walk, with a viewpoint of the Isla. Nowadays it's a nature trail. We don't know. I've got a couple of pigs along there and red deer and some hens, but it's not got all the animals. That we didn't seem to be able to make that side work. So it's a nature trail and it's very popular. It's free for people to walk along, and they go along often. So next, Mum outgrew the coffee shop again. So the Lomond shed was converted into the courtyard gift shop. They put a new roof on and concreted the floor and whitewashed the walls, I think, and that was it, ready to go. So all the crafts were housed in there, and Mum encouraged different vendors to rent a space, and she would sell their wares, and she sold her own crafts. It was a lot more, in the early days it was a lot more craft orientated, and it did very well. So it was extended again. The hay shed, Dad's hay shed, was lost. It was converted into what we call the barn now. So again, now we've got, Mum probably had more vendors. She had about 35, I think, in her peak, and we've got about 20 now. So a lot of them pay rent and then a commission on what they sell, or some of them are just solely commission based. So we've got, it's good to have a selection, and we're always looking for new people or new crafters, and I've got quite a lot of new stock coming in just shortly. So that was pretty much the shops done for the moment. The next thing we did in 2014 was converted the 2 cattle court into self-catering accommodation. We've got one house sleeps 8 and one house sleeps 4. We've got SRDP grant to cover half. They've been very successful. We've got a biomass boiler as well, so we benefit from the renewable heat incentive, and I managed to fill the hot tub up with hot water, which is another great benefit. Last year we were so busy, it was after lockdown it was tremendous, but the house that sleeps 8 suffered greatly when we went into the level system because we couldn't fill it. So the coffee shop and the courtyard were both rented out for a period of time due to circumstances. My mum and dad went their separate ways, so we rented them out, and Kim, as many of you all know from the Bothy gin, rented them and started off our gin journey here. So then the time was right for us to take the businesses back. So we took the coffee shop back in August 2017 and the courtyard in March 2018. And we've hopefully made improvements since then. We're continuing to invest in the business all the time. Last year we had to diversify again. We have a wee Santa's grotto outside that we use for the month of December, and we converted that into a pantry, which is a wee grocery shop, just for the local people to use, and I did a lot of local deliveries to people that couldn't get out. So our next project in 2019 was putting in the luxury glamping pods. They're made by Armadillo. They're 5-star, all come with a wood-fired hot tub. They're very popular with the younger generation, young couples. Our main market there is 18 to 25-year-olds, one-night stays, and lots of repeat business. We get people from as close as Forfar, which is only 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away. So delighted with the delighted with them. And we've got leader funding to cover half the cost, which was we couldn't have afforded to put the spec of pods in without the funding. So this is the first picture is Gillian in the coffee shop. On the weekends we make fresh pancakes for our customers. Got a big coffee machine in the back. We make fresh scones every day. All the cakes you see there are homemade. We make everything on site. We've got a really good cake lady, too good from the size of me. So Gillian, with the apron on, is my brother's partner. So she manages the coffee shop. So it's all very much family orientated. So that's when we took the coffee shop back, we got our own mugs made, so we're delighted with them. And that's another delicious looking cake. I think that might be a lemon sensation. So this was, in 2019, we had a burn supper in the coffee shop. The Parent Teacher Association at the school, we've got a primary school next door. So the Parent Teacher Association booked it, and we had soup and then haggis, and it was addressed, and cranachan for pudding, so it went really well, and meant to be repeated last year but couldn't, obviously, so hopefully next year we'll manage it again. This is in the courtyard, some of the things we have for sale. So we have furniture, lots of different things: furniture, jewellery, homeware, antiques, collectibles, anything you can. People are amazed what they find in there. This is the larger of the two holiday houses, the converted stead, and it's the old cow byre. So it literally was the old cow byre. So it's very open plan and sleepsy. We're delighted. We had the local architect, the building workshop along the road, and a local builder, and just delighted with the job they did. And it's very popular. Everyone that stays really enjoys it, so very happy with that. And this is our latest addition, which are the Glamping Pods, and you can see the hot tubs with them. So they've got a great view over the. It's quite echoey, Caroline. Can you hear that?
Yep.
It's okay. The Glamping Pods have got a great view over the Isla. They're just above the Slug Ochrari waterfall, and everything went well putting them in. It took a while, but we got there, and just delighted with the way they look and with the way they're going. So fingers crossed it continues. So I've got lots of things I would like to do in the future. Just have to wait till funds allow, of course. During the lockdown, we've been trying to keep motivated and improve things. We've put a new log burner in the barn, where I've just invested in a new till system for the courtyard, so for better efficiency, for reordering, and it's got a barcode scanner, and because we're quite antiquated in there at the moment. Painting and power washing and planting and preparation just to cheer the place up. So the longer days are helping. I've ordered 4 new glamping pods. We had planning permission for 8, so there's 4 new ones coming. They should have been here at the end of March, but it's just held up due to Brexit and the supply of materials. But we've not been able to do the groundworks anyway yet because of the weather we've had. But the digger has arrived today, so it's all go. I was just talking to my father at the weekend about just maybe turning a wee grass field we have into a temporary campsite for the summer, because I think people are going to instead of maybe they're camping around the side of Llantraithin Loch making a mess, they could come to our field and have a portable toilet and a shower. But this is very early stages, because we do have a caravan and camping site licence through the council for the pods, so we'll see how we get on that. I'm going to try and maximise the outdoor space for the coffee shop. I just think we need to, if we get shut down again, we need to maximise the capacity we have when we're open. So trying to decide a way to make it more efficient, the outdoor space, because it's all open air at the moment, which isn't great in Scotland sometimes. Well into the future, we're thinking about a coffee shop and gift shop under one roof, a modern building, all open plan, and possibly the existing coffee shop into further holiday accommodation. But that would be well down the line. We've got another farmsteading, a lovely old steading along at Memis, which has an amazing view, and I would like to convert that either into accommodation, or it would make a great wedding venue. It's just the positioning of it is great. But above all else, my brother wants to build a new shed for the coos, so that'll have to take precedence over everything. So, but lots of ideas, but just funding them that's the problem. So, Scottish Agritourism is well, it's so important. It's going to be a huge thing. In the beginning, we joined up to Go Rural, so we've got our Go Rural sign, and we're along with Lagan Farm down in Dumfries for the first Scottish Enterprise Agri-Tourism Monitor Farm. So that was a great programme. We learned loads, made loads of amazing contacts, and you get advice from people that you would normally have to spend a lot of money getting advice from. The knowledge, just the knowledge transfer is, you don't even know you're gaining knowledge, and you are. And it also, Kim was part of that, because she still rented the coffee shop then, so it gave us all the confidence to go and do our own thing. Kim's really expanded on the gin bothy, and we've expanded here, and so it just gives you the confidence to go and do things that you might not have necessarily done. Now we're part of the Scottish Agritourism. Again, we've got access to so many people that can advise you. They've been there and done that. We've got a big WhatsApp group, and someone will ask a question, and then 10 people will answer it, and it's great. Direct access to the Scottish Government with questions and ideas for going forward. There's a meeting with Fergus Ewing on Friday, for example. We've had meetings before with Fergus Ewing. Visit Scotland are playing a huge role in this new group, the Scottish Agritourism, and it's just been great during the pandemic. Keeping morale up. We've been chatting to each other in Zoom meetings. Just not even about anything. Just keeping each other's chins up. You can get all the grant information that you might not necessarily be party to. Lobbying the government, as I said before, and just support day to day. You can send a message out and say, I'm fed up today, and you'll get 10 back saying, cheer up, you're fine. So it's so well worth joining, and we all need to really stick together, and there's far more strength in numbers. So and as I say, you just learn so much from other people that have been there and done it. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Claire. Thanks, everyone. Sorry we've run over a little bit, but I'm glad that we finally got there with Claire's video, and she's really sorry she can't be with us today, but she had kind of sadly a family member who's not very well, so we're thinking about her. So, but it was great to see Kim from the Gin Bothy on here as well, who was very much involved with Peel Farm and has gone on to grow her business significantly too. So, yeah, so I hope you've been inspired by the 3 case studies that we've had, and I hope you want to get involved with what we're doing with Scottish Agritourism. As I say, we really want to drive pounds into farmers' pockets through our new website and by bringing people onto Scottish farms to buy food from us, to have nice days out and to come on holiday and stay on Scottish farms. And I think there is huge demand there just now. We need to make sure that this demand that's coming in the next 6 to 18 months is a long-term trend for us, because I'll still leave you that woman that keeps banging on about Italy, but we still have Italy as a market leader in the world for 1.5 billion euros just on farm accommodation alone. And I think even if we can get to having some of that, even if we have a sector worth 100 million that we can turn to 200 million, it's going to make a significant difference to a lot of people and the sustainability of the family farm in Scotland. As I said before, you need to be farming to be in agri-tourism. It's not about giving up farming to do tourism. We need the agri bit to make the agri-tourism bit work. So definitely both can be interchangeable. So so I think I'll finish up there. As I say, I'm sorry we're 15 minutes over, but it was really lovely to have you on with us today. I can't wait till we can meet up in person. We are planning a big, probably 2-day, if not 2 days and 2 nights, maybe falling into 3-day November AGM and conference. So I think that could be quite an affair when we all get together, but I'm sure we'll hopefully get together in some sort of smaller way before then. But if you're not involved with us, please get in touch. My contact details, I will be sending you just a very short survey just to get your feedback on today, and also some helpful contact details if you're looking for any support to get going in agritourism or for your business. So